Why is there no explicit emptyness check, for example is empty, in Python? The Zen of Python says explicit is better than implicit. Yet the Pythonic way to check for emptyness is using implicit booleanness. This will be true if some underscore sequence is an empty sequence, but also if it is none or zero. Compare with a theoretical explicit emptyness check. With some unfavorably chosen variable name, the implicit booleanness to check for emptyness gets even more confusing. Compare with. See also, Python, what is the best way to check if a list is empty? I find it ironic that the most voted answer claims that implicit is Pythonic. So is there a higher reason why there is no explicit emptyness check, like for example, is empty, in Python?
The reason why there is no is empty is astoundingly simple once you understand what the is operator does. From the Python manual, the operators is and, is not, test for object identity, x is y, is true if and only if x and y are the same object. X is not y, yields the inverse truth value. That means, some underscore sequence is empty, checks whether some underscore sequence is the same object as empty. That cannot work the way you suggested. Consider the following example. Now let's pretend there is this, is empty, construct in Python. But since the is operator does identity check, that means that A and B are identical to empty. That in turn must mean that A and B are identical, but they are not. So to answer your question, why is there no, is empty, in Python? Because this does identity check. In order to have the, is empty, construct, you must either hack the is operator to mean something else or create some magical empty object which somehow detects empty collections and then be identical to them. Rather than asking why there is no, is empty, you should ask why there is no built-in function isEmpty which calls the special method underscore isEmpty underscore. So instead of using implicit booleanness, we have explicit empty check, where the class of save has an underscore isEmpty underscore method implemented to some sane logic. I find that far better than using implicit booleanness for emptyness check. Of course, you can easily define your own isEmpty function. And then define an underscore isEmpty underscore method which returns a boolean for all your collection classes.
Polymorphism in, if foo column, and, if not foo column, isn't a violation of implicit versus explicit, it explicitly delegates to the object being checked the task of knowing whether it's true or false. What that means, and how best to check it, obviously does and must depend on the object's type, so the style guide mandates the delegation. Having application level code arrogantly asserts it knows better than the object would be the height of folly. Moreover, X is whatever, always, invariably means that X is exactly the same object as whatever. Making a totally unique exception for empty or any other specific value of whatever would be absurd, hard to imagine a more unpythonic approach. And being exactly the same object is obviously transitive, so you could never anymore have distinct empty lists, empty sets, empty dicts. Congratulations, you've just designed a completely unusable and useless language, where every empty container crazily collapses to a single empty container object. Just imagine the fun when somebody tries to mutate an empty container.
I agree that sometimes, if foo column, isn't explicit for me when I really want to tell the reader of the code that it's emptyness I'm testing. In those cases, I use if len foo column. Explicit enough. I 100% agree with Alex WRT, is empty being unpythonic?
There is an explicit emptyness check for iterables in Python. It is spelled not. What's implicit there? Not gives true when iterable is empty, and gives false when it is non-empty. What exactly do you object to? A name? As others have told you, it's certainly better than, is empty. And it's not so ungrammatical, considering how things are usually named in Python. We might imagine a sequence called widgets, containing, surprisingly, some widgets. Then can be read as if there are no widgets. Or do you object the length? Explicit doesn't mean verbose, those are two different concepts. Python does not have addition method, it has plus operator, that is completely explicit if you know the type you're applying it to. The same thing with not.